Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. My name is Monica. I work at Brooklyn, and I'll be your host tonight for the first episode of my favorite book. And I also want to say I am so excited to be here. I didn't think I was going to be this happy and excited to actually be talking to you. I know you're out there. I see you on the chat. Hello, Eliana. Hello, Marshall. We're so excited to have Maria here for the first episode. Before I get started, though, I want to acknowledge that the land from which I am broadcasting on is part of the traditional territory of the Lenni Lenape peoples. And we, Brooklyn, asks you to join us in acknowledging the Lenape community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. Now, my favorite book is an original program of Brooklyn. We're a nonprofit organization celebrating 22 years of promoting artist books as both art and research materials. Woohoo! We distribute work by artists and organizations within the academic market. We host workshops and exhibitions, and we publish books in archival box sets. And for more information on all of this, check out our website. It's brooklyn.org. I'm going to give you a little banner. Brooklyn.org, or you can follow us on Instagram at BrooklynArt, @BrooklynArt. I want to take a minute to thank the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs for supporting our programming, including my favorite book. And just a few things that I want to mention before we get started. We are super thrilled to announce that our education manual that we started in 2004, we recently re-edited, and Partner and Partners redesigned it. This is a fantastic resource for teachers or for rainy day activities or sunny day activities, to be honest. You can learn how to do a pamphlet stitch, an accordion bind, and so much more. And this is something that we've been updating 16 years now. It's great. I read it cover to cover. And you can download this through Linktree/Brooklyn. And let's see. And then what else? This Saturday on June 5th in Brooklyn, we're presenting a zine jam. It's hosted by Brooklyn, and Jan Descartes and Elvis Bakaitis are going to be our facilitators. It's an all ages zine workshop/jam. We're doing it in conjunction with our friends at Interference Archive, and it's hosted by Old Stonehouse, which is in the public park. It's in J.J. Byrne Playground, and it'll be outside, and it's fun, and it's free, and you should come. And you can also find that information at Linktree/Brooklyn, which is up here. Okay. All right, we are very excited, obviously, to be doing our first serialized online program, My Favorite Book. It's every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday throughout the month of June. And we'll have a new episode for you every one of those days from 7 to 7:30. Very quick, 30 minutes in and out. We'll send you on your way. You can drop in and watch on YouTube Live or on our website. I think there's only 2 places you can watch right now. Let's see. So tonight, we're really excited to introduce Maria Verónica San Martín, who is going to present her book, DIGNIDAD. I'm just going to read a brief bio so you know a little bit about Maria, and then I'll hand it over to her. She'll talk for about 15 minutes, and then we'll do a brief Q&A. You can type, I assume that everyone is watching through YouTube Live, so you can, let's see, one moment. You can put your questions in the chat, and I will get them, and I will ask Maria. I will channel them to her. So, all right, so Maria Verónica San Martín is a multidisciplinary New York-based artist and educator. She was a studio artist at the Whitney Museum Independent Study Program, an artist in residence at Art OMI, and a scholar at the Center for Book Arts in New York City. San Martín addresses memory as a pivotal factor for the understanding of the neoliberal, globalized present, turning recently to the subject matter of the Chilean dictatorship's violence, vis-à-vis the United States and Nazism's involvement in that violence. She has exhibited nationally and internationally, including the Immigrant Artist Biennial in New York, 2020. Her work is part of more than 50 collections, including the Centre Pompidou in Paris, the Met, and the Museum of Memory in Chile. San Martín is currently working on a new performance project entitled the Javelin Project, The Intention of Freedom, teaching classes for adults and kids at the Center for Book Arts and preparing her next solo exhibition in Philadelphia for September 2021. Amazing. So I'm gonna bring Maria in now.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Maria. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you? Very excited.
I'm so glad to see you. So Maria and I went over a little bit of our tech before, and since this is our first episode, it's possible it'll be a little clunky, but let's see what we can do. Maria, would you like me to play are you gonna do your PDF first?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen. So we'll see my PDF about the DIGNIDAD project. So let me come back to my first slide. Here, okay. So thanks for the introduction, Monica. Happy to be here after working for so many years with Booklink. So this is DIGNIDAD. DIGNIDAD is an installation and performative work based on the archive of a hidden community founded in 1961 by former Nazi officers in southern Chile, currently held at the National Archives of Chile. Colonia Dignidad was an isolated colony characterized by torture, execution, and child abuse, and a site for clandestine operations of the Pinochet regime and the CIA. Based on thorough archival research, including unreleased audio tapes from 1978, I interpret the colony's violent culture by restaging spaces of segregation and repression through movable metal sculpture activated through a choreography. Deconstructing symbols of power, the work evokes the architectures of the bunkers and cells, thereby embodying the political machinery and covered within the archive. So this is, I try to make a political abstraction of a case that involves so many different human rights violations. So through a performance and an audio archive and archives from the National Archive from what was the colony, I wanted to deconstruct symbols of power, and you will see throughout this presentation how I deconstruct like a very abstract form. So what I wanted to show is what was the land, the SS, the cross, the swastika, the cells, the enclave, the punishing rooms, the bunkers, the tunnels, and the case in itself. So this is basically the first audio tape I was able to listen and to transcribe that were conversations from Nazis agents in 1978 that they were talking about guns and everything regarding the war from Peru and Bolivia during the dictatorship, even before during the dictatorship in Chile. So I was able to listen the audio and then deconstruct the audio and transform it into a musical piece. These are the first drawing and sketches when I start working with the case. I worked before a lot with different sites of memory that were torture center before here in Chile. And for this case, I tried to put different symbols of power in the same order or in the same area or three-dimensional space in order to deconstruct them by one formal unit that is based on a metal unit. This was my studio while I was a resident at the Whitney Museum. So I started pulling all my research and all what I have done that was regarding the case in order to have a visible progress of what I was doing. And then, since I was working a lot with the folding and unfolding structures of many other artist books that I have done, I start making my very first mock-up that I use board, and then I start moving these foldings and unfoldings hinges in order to construct and deconstruct these symbols that I talked or mentioned before. So then I start doing it with the same kind of structure, but by using different kind of materials. This was aluminum. And then I jumped into a mini or small mock-up of metal material. And then I was invited to exhibit the work at the National Archives of Chile, which was a very huge and an important institution, of course, that preserved the archives of a history of a country. So I had to increase the size, and I had to. So this was before at Art Space in New York. So this is, I translated or literally like moved the same wall that I was working at the Whitney Museum. But I transfer it literally to the gallery, so the audience could understand like all the content of the archives. At the same time, they see the performance. This was the day of the opening, so that's myself moving the sculpture throughout 3 hours in a row. And this is what I was talking before when I was invited to exhibit the work at the National Archives. So the piece has to increase, and I had to work with a more a specific site. So this was when I decided to build 4 different sculptures that fills this entire empty void at the archives. And then at the same time, while doing and preparing the exhibition, I was also the ex-colono who was born in the colony and ended up working with me, Winfred Hempel, he added these audio tapes to the exhibition, so they could be seen at the same time with the sculpture, with the performance, and also with the files of the victims and the victimarios who got inside of the enclave. These are files that the National Archives lent to the exhibition in itself. And for me, it was also important to present how the enclave nowadays, which is called Villa Baviera, it is a place that sells bread and some food. So how this capital or this agricultural capitalism it is leading nowadays, still in an working inside of an enclave that haven't been resolved so far. So this is how the performance looked at the National Archives of Chile, different stills. You can see how we start opening the case and then how we close the case in an analogy of how many times the case has been opened by the trials and the judges, but have never been resolved. This is another performance I did with Brooklyn, actually at ATA in San Francisco. So this was me performing by myself. And then that was another exhibition at the Center for Book Arts in New York. And also another displays to show different archives in different places. This was a performance of 2 performers and 2 sculptors instead of 4. And then again, the same exhibition in a gallery, Galería Animal in Chile. And then the performance. And those are other spaces. This was in the Museum Hermano at the Hague. So as you can see, the performance brings also a DJ that has this music, a composition that is more about voices talking about the colony during the 70s. And this was at the Print Center in Philadelphia, where this was a group show. So we decided to put like the small model, and then people could put the gloves and then move the prototype. As well, we were invited to perform at the Print Center. And then since I'm working with archives, then I made an archive of the performance and of the exhibition. So this is an artist book that is printed with lithography that Monica is gonna show through a video right now. I think it needs more volume. So this artist book contains some stills from the performance in itself, and also a historical text that accompanied the exhibition, where you can contextualize more about of how the Nazis operated in the South Cone, and the same gesture and same action that I was doing with the metal sculpture, but with this piece of paper. And for me, it was important to show it in a different way, since I'm a book artist, also to save the same work, but in another media. And I don't know if we have a little bit of time more to show the performances. Has volume or not? No, we don't maybe need it.
Ja, cool. Ich höre die ganz leise, kann kaum hören. Schön. Hallo? Ja. Das ist ganz leise zu hören. Ja. Kann da muss ich aufnehmen. Geschrieben haben, ich weiß nicht, welches Konto angegeben wird. Zu leise.
So yeah, that is like a very big project that has like multiples arms as an octopus that suddenly I was curious to research, and then I had to represent through a visual work. So I turned, or I kind of became, or the work has to follow what it needs to follow. That was the action of saying in the present tense that this colony is still working under another organization, instead of digging into the past and into the land and find the massive graves that are right there. So that was Dignidad.
Thank you so much, Maria. You can hear me all right?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll just assume the round of applause extends beyond me right now. So for everyone listening through YouTube, if you have any questions, now is the time to put them in the chat. I'll just pause until I come in. Maybe in the meantime, I'll add a still.
Yeah, it was not easy to talk about a very long and deep project in 15 minutes, but I mean,
I can tell it's going to be a challenge for people to talk about their most favorite book that they've ever made in only 15 minutes. I don't know if the chat is not working. Oh, okay. So we have a question. What's next for the project at this point? And maybe you can talk about where it is in the edition also.
Yeah, the project is still, I mean, alive, and for me, every single time that it moves and presents in a different place is where the project is finished and is shared with an audience. So, for example, now it's going to Philadelphia for my next solo show, and then another way to disseminate and to continuing with the progress and process of the project is through this artist books edition, which is an edition of 50 copies that then they are distributed through different libraries, museums, and universities where the project also has different kind of wings, or it can fly through different art spaces or cultural spaces. So that's why it's kind of like a whole installation, because it includes archives, a performance, or it can be an installation, or it can be an artist book, or somehow try to speak by itself, but it has to be present in different spaces as much as it can be.
That's great. And I guess that's all for our questions. That's a big question. What's next for the project? I do want to thank you for taking the time. And our Wi-Fi in Brooklyn and in Chile worked fantastic.
Wow, that's cool.
And I think I want to mention that if anybody's interested in Maria's work, or in copies of Dignidad, contact Brooklyn. Brooklyn represents Maria's work. And I will give you that information here. And then as well, to see more of Maria and Maria's work, you can find her at mveronicasanmartin.com or at San Martin Maria on Instagram. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with, Maria?
Yeah, I mean, as for this work, it was a little bit, stuck because of COVID, but still working and doing its own round throughout the libraries and the research. And for example, it was showcased at CAA panel last week. So then it started like, you don't know where this can end being presented, but for me, since now is everything starting to open in person one more time, it'll be again very important and heart-taking to show it again as a performance or something more live in person.
That's wonderful. Well,
thank you
again.
Monica.
Yeah, thank you for sharing Dignidad with us. I love the piece, and I'm so grateful to have more information to understand it a little more deeply. And I look forward to seeing you in person in a few weeks.
Same here.
Yeah, I hope you have a good evening, and thanks everyone for coming. We'll be here tomorrow at 7 o'clock again with Stowe Len, and he'll be showing us his favorite book. So hopefully we'll see you there soon.
Bye, Monica.
Bye.
See you.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.